everyone, happy St. Patrick's Day. Today we're making the famous corned beef and cabbage meal, which I will explain at another time. But along with that meal comes a great bread, Irish soda bread, and it's so easy to make. You'll definitely want to make this and definitely want to serve it with your corned beef and cabbage. You need about an hour's worth of time, and it's very simple. So the first thing we do is we start with preheating our oven to 375 degrees. And then we get like a cookie sheet, which I have over here, and just spray the cookie sheet with some non-stick spray. You can also line it with parchment paper if you like, but I don't have any on hand right now. Okay, so here's the ingredients you're going to need today. We need some flour, some baking soda, salt. We also are going to need buttermilk, but since I don't have any buttermilk, you can make the same combination with vinegar and milk, which I'll show you in a minute. And raisins, which are optional. If you like raisins in your bread, you can add the raisins. We're first going to need 3 cups of flour. There's 2. There's 3 cups of flour. Next, we're going to need 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. So,
what brand baking soda do you use?
I use Arm & Hammer, but you can use any brand. It will work fine. And there's ½ teaspoon. And the same thing with the salt. You need 1½ teaspoons of salt. Okay. Now you're just going to mix all the dry ingredients together.
You could use a whisk or a fork.
You could use a whisk or a fork, sure. Now we need to add buttermilk, but since I don't have buttermilk, I'm going to create something that's very similar.
How much milk are you using?
I'm going to use almost 1½ cups because the rest is going to be vinegar. So we just take some low-fat milk. I have 2% here. And
so just under 1½ cups of milk?
Yep, just under 1½ cups of milk. Add a little bit of vinegar.
How much vinegar?
I would say about a teaspoonful. And then just fill up the rest with milk to make 1½ cups.
Okay, so now we have our buttermilk.
Okay, then I'm just going to stir it and give it about 30 seconds. Okay, so we've waited about 30 seconds and now we're going to add our buttermilk to our flour mixture.
Obviously, if you had buttermilk, you just put 1½ cups of buttermilk.
And then you're just going to gently stir it with a fork so all the ingredients are incorporated. And it starts to look like dough. Use something a little bit easier to stir to get it together. So any kind of a spatula would do.
Yeah. Usually the silicone spatulas are a lot better though, because they have more give than say metal spatula.
Yes. Okay. And next we're going to go over and knead this for about a minute. I applied some flour to my hands because the dough is very sticky and a little bit to the top of the dough. Now I'm just going to start kneading the dough, which is still going to be a little sticky.
I've never liked kneading. So how are you going to knead your dough?
Just kind of push down with your knuckles. And of course, a lot is going to get on your fingers, and that's okay. This is going to be so delicious. Flip it over, add a little flour to the top, push down.
You always want to make sure that it's not too sticky. So flour is always good, and if you need more, get more.
Yep, you can always
And make sure that your surface is floured, obviously.
Okay, and what you want to end up with is a disc. Kind of looks like a pizza disc, like what your pizza dough would look like before you knead it. Okay. And when you're at the point where you're able to pick it up like pizza dough, that's the point where you want to add it to your baking sheet. Okay, so here we go. And I just realized that we did not add the raisins, which is perfectly fine. So, got it on the baking sheet. Alright, so now we're going to score the top of the bread with an X. So just take a knife and make what looks like an X, like you're cutting into it. Just not very deep. That'll
About how deep? What do you
form a
think?
beautiful design. I would say 1/4 inch deep. You can see the design there.
Not that anyone measures.
Pop it in the oven, 375 degrees. 44 minutes. And we'll take a look when it's done. So we just pulled this out of the oven, and I want to remind you to check it at 40 minutes because I checked it at 40 minutes and it was done. And the way you tell it's done is take it out of the oven, lift it up, pound the bottom. Get that hollow sound, it's ready to go. So we're just waiting for our corned beef and cabbage to come out, and we're going to enjoy it right now. Happy St. Patrick's Day!